actually starting much later. I kind of adjusted the schedule. I'm starting much later than I thought it was today. And then had a lazy morning and then went out. So I adjusted my schedule. Originally I was going to do like an all, like just day thing and then do my night. But I think then I was like, wait, what if I just start like midday and then we go into the night? Also, originally I was going to be like, oh, it makes a lot of sense to like... Originally my idea was play Nier Automata and then at the end do Raging Loop. But then I was like, no, it makes a lot more sense to read another thing of Raging Loop and then play Nier Automata for however long. Since we're going to want to read, unless it's very short, we're going to want to read another one of these stories. We did Huntress and Bear last time. So let's go Blockhead versus Final Boss. Blockhead versus Final Boss. Oh, damn, if I could go one day in my life without feeling like I myself am a blockhead, you know? So this story might be relatable content to me. Ooh, I said the C word. Ooh. Blockhead versus Final Boss, comedy horror. Wait, what was the... Ah, shit. What was the last story's genre? Illusion comedy. The hell is... Did I... In the last stream, did I point out how weird illusion comedy is? Or did I just gloss over that? I remember probably reading it out loud, but I don't know if I pointed out how... Illusion comedy and then comedy horror. I'd assume that's a genre it's trying to... I don't want to spoil and click into the other ones, but... Comedy horror. So we're going to get still some comedy, but instead of some illusion, we're going to get some horror. And I'm not entirely sure what illusion genre means, but I do know horror. Can't wait. So let's read this. And then we'll switch to Nier Automata for the rest of the day. And we'll probably stream into the night. And I'll make food to eat around the stream. Everyone's favorite. But that'll probably be once we're a bit into Nier Automata. Let's say, the high-strung doctor worries. To him, the end is in fact the beginning of everything. What is he to do with the rampaging woman destroying his image of her? What is he to do with the rampaging woman destroying his image of her? Oh, is this, Kyonosuke? And then, again, if it's like the first story, it's like post the main game, and is his illusion of, speaking of the word illusion, is his image of Rikako tainted? Is that what we're talking about here? Can't wait. Let's see. The rain is over. What a relief. I must take out the garbage today and do laundry. There's shopping too. Some things were on sale. I should get it done before things become too hectic. We get slice of life with Kyonosuke? Now I couldn't be more glad that the rain is over. Kyonosuke Nosato was aware that he was blessed. Though Fujiyoshi wasn't the best place to be born in, his family was rich and upheld good values. Unlike his wise, talented brother, he was a normal person, but he was given all he needed and then some. He'd also survived the horrible disease he'd gotten. Upon growing up, he began to feel like something wasn't right and left the village. Thankfully, no one was there to stop him. Outside, he was no longer one of the special village heads, but even so, he continued to be blessed. There were no major accidents or failures, and he knew decent people. With the degree of education he had, he'd become able to be a doctor. That was when he'd realized that there was nothing in particular that he wanted to do, but even so, he was blessed. It was a simple happiness, comprised of nothing but the fact that he couldn't complain and didn't ask for most of the things he could easily gain. Enjoying his relaxed lifestyle, fully aware of that, many months and years passed by. Then in March, his family called him. They told him to stop wasting time playing around and come work at the village clinic. That was the first moment of actual discomfort he'd experienced. Naturally, he'd expected to be told something like this. He didn't want to return to the village, for he understood that he couldn't act the way he wanted to back there. In that village, village heads were supposed to command authority. It was right for them to be superior to the common folk and look down on Yasumitsu. Thus, he'd acted exactly in that manner, and was mocked because of it, earning the unwelcome moniker of the Nosato blockhead. Sorry, shouldn't laugh at unfortunate circumstances. Looking foolish wasn't a matter of being right. The problem was that he couldn't display talent worthy of his position. That was why he didn't want to be dragged into this at all. This was the reason why he'd left, after all. The truth was that there were ulterior motives behind it. The ones who'd ordered it were the Miguruma. They'd broken their non-interventionist policy and ordered the Nosato to summon their second son, and he finally couldn't say no to that. However, Kinosuke wondered if even the Miguruma actually knew why they had to invite him. After all, not even he could really believe that he'd been saved from a supernatural conspiracy which had nearly killed him. Well, guess I have to believe it. Too many things don't make sense otherwise. For example, the fact that the snake's family abandoned their absolute power over the village, lost many other people to a strange disease, and scattered completely. For example, the fact that the monkey's family abandoned their control over Fujiyoshi's livelihood and suddenly escaped at about the same time as Amiguruma fell. For example, the fact that the dissolution of the two most powerful families meant that his family, the Crow, would control the village now. And the final example, the fact that the descendant of the spider, who'd controlled everything from the shadows, was in this old house. It was no time to grow complacent. The situation had been completely unlike what he had imagined. It wasn't a happy ending, at least for her. He wasn't warped enough to enjoy being an unhappy girl. Nope, being with an unhappy girl. That's an important word to skip there. And he shouldn't be. Rokako Uematsu was lying in her bed on her stomach. Her limbs were completely spread out. The sleeping clothes she wore were as erotic as underwear. What a sentence. The actual clothes he'd bashfully bought her had been torn apart and left in the corner of the room. He then asked for Chiemi Serizawa's help, but she'd only bought lewd clothes. She thought it was a bit of bullying, but upon seeing them, Rokako turned bright red, shifted uncomfortably, then agreed to wear them for some reason. She might have realized that wearing them made it hard for Kinosuke to look at her. Either way, she was awake right now. Her posture was actually more normal when she slept. That's indecent, Rikako-san. Shut up, poopy. Curse word blocked out. Curse word blocked out. Please stop. That's just... Instead of replying, Rikako tried rolling face upwards, but instead, she just fell out of bed. A crash. Doesn't it hurt? It does. Should I look at it? Shut up, dummy. Earwax, ground beetle, octopus, mole, chauffeur. You lazy good for nothing. You watched the educational channel yesterday, didn't you? Ever since they moved here, Rikako hadn't left at all, and just spent the entire day in her room. All she did was eat, sleep, and watch TV, and that was true good-for-nothing behavior. She particularly liked animal and learning shows for children. For whatever reason, she even watched the reruns at noon. Kinosuke brought her food from the nearby dining hall. She ate it without even using chopsticks. He tried making sandwiches for her, but she didn't touch them at all. Rokako Uematsu was impossibly sulky. The weather is great. Why not go outside for once? I had your usual kimono cleaned. Why don't you have to, you don't have to wear the maid outfit that idiot Serizawa bought. What's with the pose? It's an offensive incitation. Please don't move your limbs in that position. Faster. Please stop. That's too insect-like. Her current behavior was completely unlike the refined, beautiful Rikako Uematsu he knew. In fact, this creature didn't even resemble a woman. So, is this because you want to see Fusaishi-kun? Huh? We're back with Rikako, so I gotta speak slower. Or she speaks slower, so I gotta be aware. Huh? What a severe misunderstanding. I am simply fulfilling my role as a loser. Role as a loser? This was the first proper conversation in a while, but he found it more confusing than gratifying. You would not understand the many sweet struggles we had over the millions of dreams. And to have it all end like that is degrading, but a loss is a loss. Thus, I would be as pathetic as a loser can be. That is what I am presenting myself as right now. Oh, how pathetic. Kinosuke almost laughed as she, still expressionless, resumed flailing her limbs again. Instead, he held it in and asked, Are you referring to the logic that Fusaishi-kun wasn't his real name? Huh? That was a product of his exceptional skill. That was probably what helped him enjoy the feast so much. If I could have used the many Uematsu skills to make him talk, it would have been grand. Yet in that moment in the darkness, that fanged monster attacked. It makes no sense. That thing. It's all that thing's fault. It's the reason why I lost the Tsuchigumo of dreams. Rikako moved around in an unnerving manner and started crying again. Her beautiful face was warped and she crawled around like a child throwing a tantrum. Kinosuke sighed. His position in this incident, that he knew next to nothing about, was actually a bit special. The looping phenomenon created by none other than Rikako Uematsu. Just about everyone involved couldn't remember anything about it. Or more like, the things that had happened were just undone. It only made sense. On the other hand, there were Haruaki Fusaishi, Chiemi Serizawa, both who kept their memories into the next loop after dying, and the mysterious woman, Mitsuji Misumine. Besides that, there was Haru Makishima, who could read Haruaki's mind. She'd clearly remembered Rikako Uematsu's plot. Because of Haruaki's planning, the only effect on the real world was Great Lord Shinai's death. Thus, the people of Yasumizu hadn't been told anything else, not even about Fusaishi. However, Kinosuke Nasada was an exception. He had Fusaishi and Serizawa tell him everything and knew the outline of the incident. Besides Shikamochi Kamoshida, who somewhat understood what happened, Kinosuke was the only one who knew of the incident but didn't experience it himself. How did he get into this position? It was because Fusashi trusted him for some reason, but more than that, it was for Rikako Imatsu. Kinosuke and Rikako were actually the only ones who didn't participate in the Atami trip. Rikako Imatsu had been bound by Mitsuji Misamine and her people, that was examined in some way, and her people. Kinosuke was considered her guardian during that, though they were just locked in some strange facility. They had to wait there a few days. He was glad to not have gone with the people of Yasumizu, as he wasn't on good terms with them. He was worried about Rikako though, and during their confinement, Misamine's people were strangely nice and constantly said that they wouldn't do anything bad to them. It made him feel powerless, but he was used to that. He trusted their words and expected Rikako to be freed quickly. That was exactly what happened after a week. However, that was only the beginning of the trouble. Rikako Imatsu had no ID. If the Miguruma had still been in power, they'd have probably taken it upon themselves to cover up her existence. For better or worse, the Miguruma had been destroyed during the week in the facility. As for what Rikako herself thought of this, I don't care. I'm tired. Let me die of hunger. I feel her, man. Needless to say, it wasn't much help. They had no choice but to spend 3 days in a hotel, with her in a different room, of course. One day, Chemi came to visit. She'd been the one who told Kinosuke of the incident while he was running to Rikako. It's probably not my business to look out for you like this, but I came to help out if you need me. Rikako-san seems to be safe now, so what are your plans? As it turned out, Misamine had told her the situation, so she understood most of it. Kinosuke went and asked her to tell him about the incident again. It was just that absurd of a story. Then, she asked him about what he'd do with Rikako. He replied that he'd take care of her until she recovered from her state of lethargy. Nosato-san, you're a gentleman, huh? Sorry, I thought way less of you. Damn. That apology itself was rather insulting, but Kinosuke didn't find it enraging. Chemi then asked to meet up with Rikako. Kinosuke wasn't sure about it, but Rikako insisted to have a one-on-one with her, so he ended up staying outside as they faced each other. It has been a while, Serizawa-sama. Have you come to make fun of the foolish loser? He, loser, dumped and dumb spider, you timid perv. Got her. Don't think I forgot what you said that one time. Who are you calling urine reeking and not in demand? You said many vile things to me too? You're the one who started it, and it reeks here. You stink. How long ago did you last have a bath? Damn. Shut up. I'll bathe as little as I want. Eat this. Reek attack. Wave. Yeah, what the hell? This actually looped back around to being funny, but you're being an absolute catastrophe of a woman. Alright, I know a lot's happened between us, but you aren't a stranger to me, so I'll help you out. I don't need anything. Leave. Huh? You think a loser has a choice? Loud teeth grinding sounds. After the exchange, which could easily be heard from behind the door, Serizawa spent the whole day buying lots of stuff for Rikako, most of which Kinosuke couldn't comprehend. Serizawa said her goodbye after demanding Kinosuke pay an absurd sum for the items. Well, if she's trouble, just call me. I'll discipline her whenever you need me to. He was at a complete loss for words, but since Rikako had become a bit more cooperative, he really couldn't complain about this. Though, she did seem a lot more sulky. That day, the man calling himself Fusashi sent Kyonosuke an email, even though he didn't recall ever giving him his address, which contained some additional information. I'm mailing to tell you some things I couldn't tell you when playing God. The courteous email contained the incident from his perspective. There were mentions of the records left behind in the Nasada's Yasumisu mansion and the Eye of the Miguruma, the surveillance control system. He had no reason to doubt anything anymore. They continued to exchange a few mails, but none of them mentioned Rikako. That was when he was called back to Fujiyoshi. With his brother as the current head of the family and mayor of the village, they were so busy that they summoned the supposedly subpar Kyonosuke. After asking the concierge to look out for Rikako, he returned to Kami Fujiyoshi and met with his brother. He learned a few things. The Nosada were aware that something had been happening behind the scenes and that it led to the Miguruma collapsing. Some of the people, especially his brother, actually felt the change happening in the village. There was a psychological, or perhaps religious change. As a central figure in the Shinai faith, he could feel this even if he didn't want to. But even so, he had no way to know that it was all of Uematsu's fault and that she needed to be taken away from the village. Kyonosuke explained it to him with as much detail as he could. Though her ambitions had been crushed and she was harmless now, returning her to Yasumisu was difficult. However, she had special powers, so it was best to avoid trying to harm her or rousing her grudge. Basically, she needed to be kept away from the village and that he would take it upon himself to do it. His brother instantly said that it was only because he had feelings for her. However, with all the information Serizawa and Fusashi had given him, Kyonosuke had no reason to falter. On the same day, he brought his brother to Yasumisu's Nasado mansion and unsealed a certain piece of evidence. Using that as proof, he explained to him that during the last mist, there was supposed to be a fearsome massacre event, and that some outsider who somehow knew about it stopped it. It was quite hard to believe. But Kyonosuke explained it with more intellect, sincerity, and passion than ever. When it came to Rikako Uematsu, Kyonosuke told his brother that her exploitation at the hands of her family and the Miguruma had made her plot to destroy them. To Kyonosuke, that didn't seem like a lie. Even if she had been working to fulfill the ultimate desire of her ancestors, it was those around her who'd pushed her over the edge. That was just how terrible her circumstances were, and his brother had to have known that even better than Kyonosuke. In the end, he gained his brother's trust, though most of it was due to the documents left by their forefathers, and physical proof such as the camera. Also, do these have a chart to themselves? Is this... No. Okay. I was just curious. It's interesting though, seemingly in an extra story you could go back to a different part of the main game story, but then you probably wouldn't be able to head back. I don't know how that works. Though most of it was due to the documents left by their forefathers and physical proof such as the camera. Oh, I hit a wrong button, God. And as head of an herbalist household, he knew of the unnerving, paranormal healing methods employed by the Uematsu heads. He also knew that the Uematsu had even controlled the Miguruma once upon a time. Because of this, for the sake of Fujiyoshi, the head of the Nosada family had decided to appoint Kyonosuke to shelter and hide Uematsu. However, there were conditions for that. She couldn't come near Fujiyoshi, and he had to watch over her at all times. Kyonosuke also couldn't expect any help with matters regarding her. If you considered the state of the Nosada family and the threat of the Uematsu, Kyonosuke's brother was basically cutting them off entirely, but he'd agreed to that. Your son was chased out too, but he's still trying to find a place for himself. Everyone must leave their nest someday, but I think that came a bit late in my case. Oh, one more thing. Even if these documents made you reevaluate our great-grandfather, don't try to call Chikamochi back to you. You did consider it, didn't you? It's written all over your face. You wonder why you can't? Because God will punish you.
彼らの側の事情もいくらか聞いてはいる。
That aside, you can't handle Yasumisu as you did before. I heard of their circumstances.
そのあたりについてはまた別途相談をさせてもらいたい。そのくらいは時間を割いてくれても構わんだろう。
You should consider trying to talk to them. You have enough time for that, don't you? I hit the wrong button again, Jesus. Because I was holding the controller lazily with one hand. Something like. Kyunosuke then left the Nasato mansion. The mist had cleared long ago, but there was someone waiting for him here. It was Takumi Muro. Oh. Long time no see. You leaving again?
笑わば笑いたまえ。これで私も長者でないも同然だ。
Laugh if you want. With this, I'm not even a village head anymore.
そんな大事なのかよ。
Huh? It's that serious?
ああ。今後ここに戻ることも稀になるだろう。神様との約束くらいは果たさねばならんがね。
Yes. You won't see me around much anymore. But I have to fulfill my promise to God at least.
植松はどうなったんだ。
What happens to Uematsu?
ああ。彼女は私が落ち着くまで西洋の世話をして差し上げることになった。
Oh, I'll have to take care of and shelter her until she calms down.
長者で流行ってる病気って聞いたが、一体何にかかったんだ。
Heard it was a disease that spread among only the village heads. What was it anyway?
君に言ってもわからんよ。
You wouldn't understand.
お前は最後までそれかよ。
You never changed, do you?
そうとも。野里のボンクラは野里でなくなってもボンクラだったというわけだ。
Of course. Nasato or not, I'm still a blockhead.
さっきの取り消しだ。なんかお前変わったか。
I take that back. You actually changed?
さあ、変わったとすればこの村なのではないかね。
Who knows? Maybe it's the village that's changed.
それならば少なくとも君は変わる瞬間を見た一人のはずだが。
If that's the case, then you're one of the ones who witnessed the change with your own eyes.
今でも夢だかなんだかわからねえよ。
I still wonder if that was all a dream.
ああ、私もそうだ。まあ、夢だかなんだかわからないようなことで、人生というのは移ろっていくものだということだ。
Same here. Well, lives can change due to dream-like things, can't they?
達者でな、ムロ。
See you later, Muro.
とうとう先輩をつけずじまいかよ。
And you still don't call me senpai, huh?
今さら呼べるか。
Senpai.
恥ずかしい。
Like I could at this point. It's embarrassing.
休みずも変わっていくさ。
Yasumisu will change.
大昔みたいにマロードの100人や200人笑ってもてなせるような場所になるかもしれねえ。
It may become a place that can welcome hundreds of guests, just like centuries ago.
誰だ。そんな大それたことを考えているやつは。
Who said something that bold?
さあ、ただなんとなくうちの神様が賑やかに従ってるみてえだからよ。
Who knows? But it does look like our gods want it more lively here.
いずれ若い連中がなんか始めんじゃないかって思ってるよ。
I think the young ones are about to start something.
やれやれ。騒がしくなりそうだな。どうやら西洋のためには出て行って正解だったようだ。
Oh dear. Sounds like things are about to get busy. Looks like leaving and helping her rest is the right move here.
落ち着いたらお前も来いよ。美人の嫁さんも連れてよ。
Once it settles down, you come visit too, and bring your pretty wife.
彼女とはそういうものではない。それに彼女こそ
We're not
もう
like
藤吉村には戻れんだろうよ。
we're not like that, and it doesn't seem like she can return to Fujiyoshi.
そんなに悪いのか。
Is it that bad?
いや、初版の事情だ。
Well, there are reasons.
んなもん気にすんな。ここは安水だ。来るもの拒まずだぜ。 村長様もおめこぼししてくれるって。
Well, don't overthink it. This is Yasumisu. We don't mind visitors, and the mayor would overlook it surely.
そうかもしれんな。
Maybe you're right. After that, he became extremely busy. He prepared a residence, prepared the move, and secured a workplace. However, it all went swimmingly. With the help of one of his teachers in college, he got a position in a countryside clinic a decent distance away from Fujiyoshi. He'd also been able to buy a cheap place in the mountains not too far from where he worked. It was the perfect place to shelter Ikako and live in secrecy. He quickly signed the contracts and moved there. There. All that was left now was getting his things from the main Osato household transferred to him. Once that was over and he realized how well it all went, he became aware of how blessed he was. There was only one problem left. It was Rikako Imatsu who was menacing him with a strange sound. What was he to do here? He had no idea. She'd become a monster too much even for him to handle, and he loved her. The fact that she didn't go wild or try to run away implied she was okay with these conditions, but that was as far as it went. What if things stayed this way forever? He couldn't give up just like that. The key to this was persistence.
リカ子さん、はしたないですってば。
Rikako-san, that's too indecent. He tried talking to her. He needs to learn you can't change a person, you know? If you fall in love with someone, you gotta fall in love with all aspects of them. You know what I mean? It's a hard truth. But you know, if you don't like her during her I can't even do it rapidly. If you don't love her at her you don't deserve her at her whatever she originally was. What are you trying to do anyway? She stopped menacing him, and he wasn't sure how to react to her question even after thinking about it for a few seconds.
何とは?
What do you mean?
私をどうしたいのですか?
What do you want to do with me?
どうって。
Again, what do you mean?
なぶり者にでもすればいい。お望みのままになさいませ。何せ私は敗者なのです。
You can take advantage of me. Do what you want with me. I'm the loser after all.
ほら、そう。
Jesus.
来るなら来い。
Come, do it. With a face as dull as a hammer, she rolled to the side and started spanking herself. The fuck are we? It was a negative sort of sex appeal. She'd been like this ever since talking to Chiemi. It was an unproductive, hopeless relationship. Kinosuke had no idea how to handle it. He would start working as a doctor. The job would be hectic, and though he'd worked as an intern for quite a while, he spent too many years not doing anything, so he was quite worried. Whoosh. Then he would be away, a portly housekeeper who would look after Akako, informing him if there were any problems. He hoped that time would fix her, but what if it didn't? Worrying to himself, he left Rikako's room. She continued spanking herself regardless. Oh, but then grew bored of it and crawled back into her bed. She couldn't even sigh. Rikako felt like an empty shell now. She'd felt this way ever since that moment of darkness from the end of the incident. Something had taken the Tsujigumo of dreams away from her. Or more like, it ate it. That was how it felt, at least. The Tsujigumo of dreams was dead. At the very least, it couldn't fulfill her desire now. She could feel it in her veins. She had no idea what that monster did with the Tsujigumo, nor did she care. The Tsujigumo was her everything. The previous Uematsu head had raised her just for its sake. Thus, now that it was lost, she had no ambitions, desires, hobbies, or goals.
僕は望む
I ask,
植松里香子が土蜘蛛の復活を放棄し
that you, Rikako Uematsu, abandon the Tsujigumo's revival.
ただの人として女性としてまっとうに幸せになることを
And live out a normal, happy life as an ordinary woman, a person. That curse was binding her to this life, but her life was full of pain now. Someone who'd lost her heart couldn't find happiness again. Her happiness was supposed to come with Tsujigumo and Fusaishi. Now that she'd lost them both, she was like a loser with a consolation prize. Oof. Perhaps she could let herself break easily if Kinosuke Nasato had just had his way with her. However, that wasn't happening, and she was left to live as a bored animal fulfilling only its physical desires. She just grew more irritated. She was surprised that she could still feel irritation. She felt a blazing flame of irritation when talking to Chiemi, but looking back on it, it was strange. Rikako Uematsu had thought that all of her emotions had come from the Tsujigumo. She thought that both the aloof Rikako and the bewitching Uematsu personalities had just been given to her. Perhaps some emotions and desires remained inside her? What of it, though? Would it let her become happy again? No. Absurd. She didn't care. She rolled to the opposite side of, in irritation. That was when she saw a small spider. She could instantly tell that it wasn't just a normal spider. Look how cute that thing is. It was very roundish in all aspects, resembling a spider straight from a manga. And it was pink. Could it be? Could it really? Tsujigumo-sama? It couldn't be. Did her late master actually survive? Rikako looked into it and called out to it.
Kumo-sama! Kumo-sama! Ah, こんな姿になってしまわれて。
Spider-sama! Spider-sama! Oh, look what you have become!
でも、生きておられた。滅びてなどおられなかった。ああ、なんたる僥幸でしょう。
But you survived. You didn't die. Oh, what bliss!
ならば、悲願を再びなしましょう。男を貪り、子をなし、新たな巣を見つけて、命脈をつなぎましょう。
Then let us resume our ambition. Let's consume men, make offspring, find a new nest, and keep the bloodline alive.
いつの日か、あなた様が再び蘇る日まで。
One day, when you resurrect once more, we...
雲様。
Spider-sama? Something wasn't right. It was certainly different than what she knew it to be, but she thought it was simply because it became smaller. However, there was something inherently different about it. The spider actually avoided her when she tried to touch it. It backed away, as though falling on its backside, or out of embarrassment. I just love the look of it. She caught up to it with her fingers and tried touching it. It was soft. It was more soft and warm than any other such critter. After a few pokes, the pinkish spider began to convulse in a strange way, and when she retracted her finger, it fell on its side. Did it die? She assumed that for a moment, but it was still moving its legs slowly as though breathing. It was just sleeping. Rikako somehow understood that this was a fragment. The wicked, grand, and powerful Tsujigumo was a being that represented a scary brand of motherhood that birthed and consumed all, and this was just something hiding within its shadow. It was paired with Tsujigumo of dreams, and it was small and weak from the start. And it was also the entity representing the extremely bashful yet really love-craved personality that was Rikako.
私は
I might have not been as empty as I thought. It was just something that the dark creature had failed to consume, but it was a sign that Rikako was still here. However, she didn't know how to interpret it. Still perplexed, she rolled over again.
どうしよう。
What do I do? She hadn't even considered what it would be like to live just as Rikako. Was there anything she wanted to do as herself? She was tired and annoyed, but she remembered how Rikako had once wanted to try loving someone. Without the TV on, her room was a very boring place. She hadn't bathed in a while. That reminded her of Chiemi's grin, and with great irritation, she went to use the shower. Upon realizing a certain problem, she looked around the bathroom for something but couldn't find it. Kinosuke had probably removed it out of caution.
バカバカしい。自殺などもうしないというのに。
How foolish. I would not commit suicide. She didn't feel like dying. She knew better than anyone that it was painful and that this wasn't a dream. Following that darkness, she no longer had any control over dreams. Did the pink spider have any powers? Didn't seem that way, so she was still just a woman. And as a woman, what did she think of the situation? This house was constructed with 2 families in mind, so both floors had a bath and a toilet. This was intentional on Kyonosuke's part, who was considerately giving her space. Thus, ever since moving here, she had never gone down the stairs. That was why Kyonosuke was at a loss for words when she came down all wet and wearing nothing but a bathrobe.
リカコさん
What? Kako-san!
カミソリをください、野里様。
Give me a razor, Nosato-sama.
何そんな何をするおつもりですかよもやまた自分を傷つけるなどと
What? What will you use it for? Just so you know, I won't let you use it to harm yourself.
無駄毛を処理します。
I'll get rid of the excess hair.
ご覧ください、我がぼうぼうたる脇を。ちなみに私はいつも明日も。
Look at my hairy armpits. And just so you know, below I...
うわーなんてことをさるのか
God. Why would you say that?
何ですか騒がしい。お医者様ならば低毛など慣れっこでしょうに。
Why are you so loud? A doctor should be familiar with hair hygiene, no?
わ
I mean, honestly.
安全そうなものを買いに行かせます
Grow the fuck up, Kyonosuke. Understood. I shall make her go buy some safe ones.
行かせる
Make her?
ええまあ私にはそういうのはちょっとわからないから紹介したでしょ明日はあの家政婦さんが来る
Well, yes. Well, I don't know what kind to get, and I did say that there will be a housekeeper tomorrow.
彼女に買いに行かせますから
I'll have her buy some. This guy
野里
sucks.
様が買いに行くのです。
No, you go.
は
Huh?
ついでに上松家では月の者が来るときは特別な小屋で物意味をしていましたが、こちらではどうしますか？
Also, in the Uematsu household, we made it through the monthlies by sheltering in a special house. But what about here?
それはそれなりの用具がドラッグストア等で市販されているかと
Well, I imagine local drugstore or something for that purpose.
テレビで宣伝しているあれですね。そろそろ入り用ですので、そちらもお買い与えください。
I think I saw an advertisement. Should come for me soon, so buy some of those too.
それこそ彼女に頼んで
I'll ask her to.
と言いますか、あの家政婦様にはお暇をお出しください。
Honestly, I want you to fire her.
どういうことです気に食わない点でも
Why? Is there a problem?
しばらく他人と接したくありません。それくらいなら自分で身の回りの世話くらい済ませます。面倒だけど。
I do not want to interact with anyone for now, and I can take care of myself and my surroundings, even if it is a pain.
しかし
But
安水ではずっとそうしてきた。
that is how it was in Yasumisu.
突然どうされたのですかあんなに無気力だったのになぜ急に
What happened to you? You were so powerless, and now you suddenly
脇毛光線。
armpit hair laser.
見ません見えませんから
I can't see it. I'm not looking.
単にテレビに飽きただけです。
I'm simply bored of the television.
それにあなたに借りばかり作れば後でどんなひどい要求をされるか知れたものではありませんから。
Also, I cannot imagine what kind of things you may ask of me if I keep relying on you so much.
極力迷惑はかけぬよう。 手と頭を動かしたいと思います。
I simply thought that I should try to not be a nuisance.
いい兆候ですな。なるほど。しかし私はもう少し様子を見るべきかと。
What a good sign. I see. But I should watch over you for a while longer.
逃げたり死んだりもいたしません。何かのために苦しむ甲斐も今はありませんので。
I will not escape or die. I have no cause to suffer for anymore.
そんなわけで家政婦は不要です。私を家から出したくなければ野里様が買いに行ってください。
So there, no housekeepers. If you do not want me to leave, go buy the things yourself. Yeah, lay down the laws.
あなたはどうであれ
Whip him into shape,
私
Kako.
を悩ませるようですな。
You always bring me so much trouble.
嫌いになりましたか。では仕方ない。どこぞでまたネアのはしためを務めここをしのぎましょう。
Do you hate me now? Then there's no helping it. I shall go support myself working as a bedroom woman servant again.
行ってきますから待ってなさい。
I'll go. So please wait. After saying that with a flushed face, Kinosuke left the living room without even looking into her eyes. Hachu. For some reason, her irritation had subsided. After getting into her under kimono, she rummaged through the kitchen and found a tea caddy. She didn't know how to use boiled water, or fire in general, but she had used a microwave before, so she just warmed up some water and tea leaves in there. She then took the hot cup with her sleeves, sat down on the sofa, and drank. It was too hot, too fragrant, and the leaves were bitter, but she still found it delicious. If their sensations weren't stimulated, people's minds and bodies would atrophy.
やはり違う。
This really isn't the same. Even. Two evens. Emphasized. Even she wore the same clothes as before, she was clearly different now. Maybe that second one was supposed to be like when or something. Back then, there were no times when she didn't think of anything. Whenever she was alone, she would think of the Tsuchigumo. She would think of the ancestral grudge she inherited and pile yet more upon it. By doing so, she would make the Tsuchigumo stronger and more malicious. But now, she often thought of nothing. That didn't make her feel empty, however. In fact, the emptiness was fulfilling. She recalled that Buddhism was basically about that. Thinking about such things, she looked to the side. Most of the things Kinosuke had brought over had been unpacked, and there was already a large TV and bookshelves in the living room. After drinking some more tea, she walked up to a bookshelf. His family were readers, and it was full of large books. Most of them seemed to be about medicine. Avoiding dictionaries and technical books, she picked up a thin, smallish new text.
看護学の基礎理念。ナイチンゲールの看護覚書に学ぶ。
The Foundation of Nursing, learning from Nightingale's nursing notes. The title was complex, but the text inside was in a large, easily read font, aimed at newbies, apparently. She decided to read a bit, as it would stimulate her brain more than the TV. Upon hiding it in her sleeve, she looked at the shelf again. Oh. She found a small pink spider sitting there. Upon noticing that Rikako was looking at her, the spider jumped into one of the nearby cardboard crates. She followed it with her eyes, but quickly lost sight of it. She then walked up to the cardboard box and opened it. Forbidden Wife 4, The Afternoon Grail, The Secret Class, The Music of Sweet Moans, The Lustful Hospital, A Prescription of Love and Immortality. No, immorality, not immortality. It was full of books with black covers. She quickly opened them, closed them, then stuffed them into her sleeves. Then she quickly returned to her room and hid them under her pillow, all with a cool face. She sat down on the sofa and drank the cold tea.
おいしい。
Delicious. She said that out of embarrassment, but didn't hide anything. It was still before noon. She didn't want to read that so early. Instead, she chose to read the first book she found. She hadn't read since middle school, so she read really slowly, but it gradually came back to her, so it wasn't a pain for her. Even after a whole hour, she wasn't done with half the book, and Kinosuke wasn't back yet. He was either hesitant to buy what she wanted, or was irritated with her and wasting time to cool off. Rikako seemed to be a worse person than she herself realized. She only made it through all the hardships in her life with a stoic expression, not because she was naturally calm, but because she had a clear goal. Would Kinosuke grow tired of her if she continued using him like that and pushing him around? Would she feel refreshed when that happened? There was nothing that she wanted to do enough to leave this place and put herself at risk in the process. However, she also couldn't find a reason to stay here. He let her stay here partially out of obligation to his family, but mostly because he liked her. She could give herself to him as thanks, but he probably wouldn't want it. Then, was she supposed to love him? That was difficult. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't see him as more than a sympathetic clown. He was a foolish, sad, older man who was too fixated on a woman who gave him a special experience only 20 years ago. It was completely impossible for her to love him as much as she had Haruaki Fusashi. Then, there was only one answer.
面倒くさいな。
What a pain. But it would spare her the irritation. As she thought that, she heard a voice outside. She thought she'd misheard it, but no. It was a childish, high-pitched cry. Rikako walked up to the window and looked through the curtains. A child? A small boy was sitting and crying between the hedges. Crying noises. I'm not going to repeat those. I thought about it for a second. She went to the garden, but even though it was still in the house's territory, she still had to gather her wit. The garden was large, but poorly looked after. It was completely overgrown, almost like a forest. Had this house been unoccupied for that long? But didn't Kinosuke say the weather was good? The sky she could see through the spaces in the leaves was all cloudy. Anyway, the boy. He looked 7 or 8 and was a lot bigger than Mako. Yeah. I haven't read that name in a while, so it looked off to me for some reason. His clothes looked really bad. His shirt was loose and threadbare. But if you ignored that, his face was well structured, making him look quite intelligent.
Kawaii.
Cute. The fact that the thought felt a bit more dirty than it should made her curse her upbringing.
どうしたの?
What's wrong? Eek. The boy gasped, and made her realize that her appearance probably made her look like a ghost anywhere outside of Fujiyoshi.
私は上松里香子と申します。
I am
回るで上、末で松と読みます。
Rikako Imatsu. Ui for spin, and Matsu for end.
お姉ちゃん、誰?
Who are you? Why would he ask that after she just introduced herself? It made her a bit upset, but then she realized that he wanted to know her situation.
このお家に住まわせてもらっているものです。
I'm somewhere living here.
え? お化け屋敷に住んでるの?
Huh? You live in a ghost mansion?
お化け屋敷。
Ghost mansion?
うん。3年の男子はみんなそうやって呼んでる。
Yes, that's what the third-year boys call it. It was the first time she'd gotten a proper look at the building, and the vines did look a bit ominous. Then there was the unkempt garden. There was grass as tall as her knee, and then again must have been unnerving. And that again must have been unnerving.
お化けが出るの?
Do you get ghosts here?
うん。たけしが見たって。
Yes. Takeshi said he saw one.
勝手に入ってはダメよ。ここは人が住むお家なんだから。
You should not try to get in. People live here.
うん。ごめんなさい。もしかしたらたけしはお姉さんのことを見たのかも。
Yeah, sorry. Maybe Takeshi saw you?
私を?
Me?
うん。綺麗な女の幽霊だって言ってたから。
Yes. He said the ghost was a pretty lady. Those words made her heart waver. Was he into older girls?
次長。
Control yourself. Huh?
何でもありません。私はつい先日この家に来ました。だから多分人違いです。
Nothing. I moved here just a few days ago, so you probably had the wrong person.
そうなんだ。そしたらお姉さん、お化けと一緒に住んでるの？
I see. Then, do you live with ghosts? She couldn't perceive such things. She might have been able to do something if the Tsuchigumo was still with her and this was a dream, but there was no point considering that. Those of Miguruma blood would probably have the talent to see such things. She remembered that Kyonosuke had said that it was really cheap. Perhaps it had a shady history?
気をつけないと。
I need to be careful. I know Matsu had no reason to fear beings of a different world, but she did have to consider the risks involved. If one mingled with the unknown and the invisible, they had to treat it with proper respect. Kinosuke would have to be told of this and look into it.
どうしたの？怖い顔。
What's wrong? Your face is scary.
いいえ、何でもないの。それよりも、どうしてそのお化け屋敷に一人で来たの？
Oh, nothing. Nothing. By the way, why did you come here? All by yourself? From her time watching TV, she knew that her urbanites enjoyed tests of courage where they braved the darkness in Yomi. However, it was something done with others, not alone. He awkwardly looked down as if he was holding something back. Rikako realized how kind she was being to him. Whatever happened to her unpleasant personality?
お家にあげていいかはわからないから、せめてお茶でも持ってきましょう。
I do not know if I can take you inside, so let me give you some tea, at least.
いいよ、そんなの。
No, thank you. She was disappointed.
聞いてくれる？
Can you hear me out?
私でよければ引き取り
If you find me... Oop.
お聞きしましょう。
If you find me acceptable, I shall take in... No. Listen to you.
ありがとう。
Thanks.
父さんと母さんが別れるんだ。
My mom and dad are splitting up.
5個ずつくらいに
Into how many pieces?
違うよ。うちの親はロボじゃない。
Not that...
離婚。
Not that way. They aren't robots. I mean, they're divorcing.
まあ
Oh dear. According to TV, it wasn't uncommon these days. A divorce in Fujiyoshi would be the talk of the village.
俺邪魔なんだよ。父さんも母さんも引き取りたくないって思ってる。
I'm in the way. Neither mom or dad want to take me.
どうしてそう思うの？
Oh, why do you think that?
わかるよ。しんちゃんはどっちと一緒にいたいって聞かれるとき、どっちも困った風に笑うんだ。
I just do. When they ask Shin-chan, who do you want to be with, they both smile awkwardly about it.
俺は成績も悪いし、悪さもいっぱいしたから嫌われてるんだ。
I have bad grades and misbehave a lot, so they hate me.
どうしてご両親は離婚するの？
Why are they divorcing?
父さんが仕事で家にいなくて、母さんがローンとか仕事とかいろんなことで疲れたって。
Dad is never home because of work, while mom is tired of all the loans and jobs.
共働きだったのね。
They both work?
うん。父さんは銀行員で、母さんは会社で働いてる。
Dad is a banker and mom works at a company. Despite what the boy had said, the way he talked was very detailed, and he seemed to be quite mature for his age. You would never find children like this in a failing household. It was probably going well before. They had to be pretty rich, and the parents were probably more discerning before. But something had happened between them and torn them apart. There's probably no bad guy here. It was just an unfortunate turn of events. To Rikako, it seemed that urban society was a machine made of gears that created misery whenever they failed. And so real. And since she'd been involved with many marriages and births, she knew a lot about this, even though she had no first-hand experience.
お父様とお母様はあなたから見てもう仲直りはできないと思う？
Do you think it is impossible for your parents to be together again?
うん。俺がいないところでは二人ともほとんど口を聞かないし、ずっとお金のことで揉めてるから。
Yeah, unless I'm with them, they don't even talk to each other, and they're always fighting over money. That seemed difficult.
あなたはどうしたいの？
What do you want to do?
選べない。
I can't choose. And no one could blame him for that.
それでここに来たのね。
And that's why you came here.
選べないって叫んでここへ来て。
Yeah, I shouted I can't choose and ran over here.
それでお化けに殺されたら、もう父さんと母さんは俺のことで悩まなくていいから。
I thought that I would save them the trouble if I was killed by a ghost. He felt that trapped, though he was probably right in assuming that they would get a divorce and that he had to choose. In fact, that might have been best for the relationship. There were many examples where parents continue to be parents even after divorce, and many examples where the ex-spouses managed to be on good terms again. However, she didn't want to console him with such optimistic thoughts. Life was oftentimes unreasonable and thoroughly filled with despair. It wasn't unlikely that this divorce could lead to the end of this child's future. Rikako didn't know what to say to him. Would he calm down as she hugged him and told him that she was there for him? Who knew? But this Uematsu-like situation was a path she didn't want to take. As the boy resumed crying, Rikako looked around. Her eyes became fixated on a red thread coming off his shirt. For no real reason, she reached out to pull it free. When she touched it...
どうしたの？
What's wrong?
あなたのお母様は少し前に大きな手術をなさったかしら？
Did your mother go through a major surgery recently?
え？どうしてわかったの？
Huh? How'd you know? She then touched another thread she noticed.
お父様は命令でどこか遠くに行くことになっていた。
Your father was given an order to go far away.
うん。それも当たりだよ。
Yeah, that's right too. His collar was covered in countless colored threads. Most of them were so thin they were almost invisible. They seemed transparent too, and only became more and more transparent as they went on before they vanished. But those two stood out a lot. After all, they were cut.
そうか。
I see. This was a first for her, but she instantly understood what it was. There was a pink spider on the boy's head. This was the power of the frail spider. The timid little creature made it possible for Rikako, who'd wish to connect to people, to see such connections as threads. And if they were here?
あのね、よく聞いて。
Now listen.
うん？
あなたはこれからお家に帰ってお父様とお母様の質問に答えなくてはなりません。
You have to go back home and answer your parents' question.
だけどその時にお父様とお母様が嫌な笑顔にならないようにおまじないをして差し上げます。
But I will give you a little spell. It makes it so they do not look displeased when it happens.
だからあなたはよく考えてあなたの後悔をしない選択をしてください。
That is why you need to think for yourself and make a choice you do not regret.
あなたがどちらといたいか、どちらがあなたを必要としているか、どちらが望む未来につながるか。
Think about who you want to be with, who needs you, and which one will give you a better future.
今度は逃げずに決めるのです。わかりましたか？
This time, decide without running away. Understood? She said such complicated words without hesitation or restraint. He seemed to sense her honesty, and nodded, slowly but surely.
良いでしょう。
Good. She never expected to sing this song herself. Oh, I'm not singing. I'm not singing tonight. Yes, I'm singing. The blessed guests arrived to be welcomed with arms open. If you want to call that singing. Rikako's fingers took one of the cut threads. Mirth with the honored guests is to call to celebrate. Her other hand searched through an empty space, creating a cut thread of the same red color. One soul per day now to bind the mist. Rise again. Threads could be bound. Rikako quickly connected the two threads with a knot.
もう一晩特別ご奉仕です。
Another night, a special service. The blessed guests arrived to be welcomed with arms open. Mirth with the honored guests is called to celebrate. One soul per day now to find the mist rise away again. That was a long-lost song. Back in that land, guests had once been treated and welcomed as gods. This was an ancient marriage song used in a time when one-night trysts were common. It went on to be taken away, warped into something sinister, and come back as a saddening caller for those under Shinai. She could vaguely remember it as a memory of her Tsuchigumo. That was probably why the strand of divinity took on such a shape in her.
つながった。
Connected. She confirmed that she re-linked the severed bond between the boy's father and mother. However, she wouldn't say that.
おまじないはおしまいです。
The spell is over.
辛いことがあっても強く生きて。この浮世は強いものに対しては下手に出るものですから。
Live strong, even if life is harsh. This world is more modest to the strong.
なんだか少しだけ元気になったよ。
Make that kid feel better. Yeah, that makes me feel kind of better.
ありがとう、お姉ちゃん。
Thank you, lady.
俺、家に戻るね。
I'm going home.
ええ、元気で。
Good. Farewell. The boy ran toward the gap in the hedge, then vanished. No, he fell. She ran up to there and found an unused well hidden by the grass. Its sides were low enough for someone to fall in. Oh, that's horrifying. Are you okay? She could hear sounds of water, screams, and ragged breaths from down below.
どうすれば。
What do I do?
リカコさん、
Okako-san. That was when Kirinosuke and Osato had appeared nearby.
ここにおられたのですか。外に出られるのはいいが、しかしちょっと今日は無理をしすぎでは。
So this is where you were. It's good to go outside, but you should not strain yourself too much.
助けて。
Help! Huh?
助けなさい。ルイドに子供が。縄か何かを使って。早くして。この泥棒。
Help! There's a child in the well. Use a rope or something. Hurry, you dunce. Damn, being called a dunce. This guy can't catch a break. The change in situation was sudden, but Kirinosuke quickly took care of it. He used the packing tape from when he moved in as a makeshift rope and quickly lowered himself in. Rikako pulled up when he gave a sign and helped Kirinosuke save the boy. He successfully made it out, but the boy's body had already gone limp. It had taken a while to prepare the rope. He drowned during this time. Rikako felt herself become more irritated with Kirinosuke. She almost began cursing him, but she restrained herself. She had to. Kirinosuke had to focus on trying to save the boy's life.
聞こえるか。しっかりしろ。
Do you hear me? Get a grip! While occasionally calling out, he performed CPR on the boy. He was a true doctor right now, and his whole being was invested in saving this dying boy.
しっかりしろ。どうして？
Hang in there. Why? Why? Kako had wondered that herself. Oh, hello. How's it going? It's going good. Going good. How are you doing? Why did such an unreasonable tragedy have to happen? Why did she have to feel such sadness? Was it because there was no God here? Did God just not exist and the people had to fend for themselves alone against this cold world?
どうしてだ？これではまるで。
Why? This is just...
これがたった今心肺停止した患者とはとても思えないぞ。
I can't believe that his heart stopped only now. Huh? Before Akako could voice that...
お姉ちゃん。
One-chan. She heard a voice behind her. There was a childlike presence there. Oh, doing good as well. Good to hear. Good to hear. He was all smiles, and right next to him, there were the presences of two people. Multiple presences. Though invisible, they were bits of warped space, or distortions in reality. She could also sense that the boy was accompanying them.
思い出したんだ。
I remember.
この家に住んでたのは俺だった。
I'm the one who lived here.
俺と父さんと母さんだった。
With mom and dad.
あの日、俺は泣いて木の間から外に抜けようとして井戸に落ちて。
That day, I cried, tried to run past the trees and fell into the well.
それで父さんと母さんも悲しんで死んじゃったんだ。
Then, mom and dad were so sad that they died too.
それじゃ
Then,
母さん美人だよ。もうだいぶ前だからこんな感じになっちゃったけど。
mom was really pretty. It's been a long time though, so she's like this now.
たけしのやつひどいよね。元友達ん家に肝試しに入んなよ
Takeshi's so mean. Don't enter your old friend's house to test your courage.
な。でもありがとう。
Anyway, thank you.
お姉ちゃんが糸をつないでくれたおかげで俺は父さんと母さんを引っ張って連れて行ける。
Thank you. Thanks to you connecting the thread, I can take them with me. Oh.
じゃあね。
See ya.
落ちなかれというのはあなたたちには違うでしょうね。
I guess Rise Not would not be fitting for you.
さようなら。
Goodbye. Boy smiled and she smiled back. The next moment, the boy and the two distortions vanished. I am thoroughly horrored out right now. Sunlight leaked through the trees. The sky was so bright, it was hard to believe it. It wouldn't be strange to experience something like this in the mountain's darkness, but she didn't expect it here in this town. The world sure was a strange place.
そんなバカ。
No, it can't be. Kinosuke's pitiful voice made Rikako turn around. He was completely shocked. The freshly drowned boy had become a white skeleton about as tall as him. Skeleman! The appearance of human bones had turned this into a matter for the police. They'd already known about what happened here. The married couple committed suicide while their child had vanished without a trace. This house was quite a paranormal hotspot. The strangest thing about this was the fact that they had records of searching for the child in the well. The police were confused and expressed their sympathies for the couple that had unknowingly moved into a ghost house. Rikako replied,
それは大丈夫です。もうきっと成仏なさっていることでしょう。
No worries. I am sure they had already moved on.
あと私はこのボンクラとは夫婦ではありません。
Also, I'm not married to this blockhead. Damn. Exhausted, Kinosuke lay down on the sofa in the living room. Way too many things had happened today. Rikako had left her room, instantly giving him an impossible task, made him buy something embarrassing, then experience something paranormal, and then he'd had to deal with the police. All of that was coupled with Krako's eccentricity and harsh words, and it was taking a toll on him. He considered whether he would really start living here. Was his plan for his life in this town too incomplete? Was he attempting something far beyond his limits? As he thought to himself, "You seem troubled. Why?" He heard the voice from right beside him. Rikako-san, how long have you been there?
何ですか？私は幽霊ではありませんが、あなたがと考え込んで気づかなかっただけです。
What? I am no ghost. You were just so lost in thought that you did not notice.
なるほど。しかしどうしてここに？
I see, but why are you here anyway?
2階に閉じこもれとおっしゃるなら、そのようにいたしますが。
If you want me to shut myself on the second floor, I will do just that. Her tone was as harsh as always, but for some reason, she felt strangely close.
そんなことは言いませんが、どういう風の吹き回しかと思っただけで。
I didn't mean that. I'm just wondering what brought this on.
勝手にすみません。先ほど、その本棚から本を借りました。
Apologies for not asking. I took a book from that shelf. Huh?
看護に関する本です。差し支えなければ、引き続き読ませていただけませんか？
One about nursing. If it is no problem, I would like to read more.
いえ、構いませんよ。事前に伺いたかったところですが、今後ここの棚からはご自由にどうぞ。
I have nothing against that. I wanted to speak to you about it myself. Help yourself to any book from there.
すみません。ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
この椅子は座り心地がいいから、今後読書に使ってもよろしいですか？
Can I use this chair for reading? It is very comfortable.
それはもちろん。
Of course.
何をしょんぼりとされているのですか？その貧相な表情を見ているとイライラするのです。
Why are you looking so dejected? It irritates me to see you so listless. She was in a bad mood again. Kyonosuke sighed.
さっきは一瞬かっこいいと思わなくもなかったの。あなた様と来たら情けのない。
I actually thought you cool for a moment there, and you are back to this. How pitiful. Oh, my guy. My guy, it's rough out there being him. Huh?
何でもありません。とにかくどうなされたのです？
Nothing. Anyway, what happened? Was she only acting mad to hide that she was worried?
最近はどうも超常現象づいていて、調子が狂うなと思っていただけですよ。
All these paranormal things around me are taking a toll.
私もそれに含まれますか？
Does that include me?
あなたについては、目に見える部分ではそんなに派手なことが起きていないからさほどは。
I hadn't seen you do anything extreme myself, so not really.
しかし、不妻子君は、神の振りについてはともかく、巻き戻りについては信じるしかないですし。
Then there was Fusashi-kun's God act and the loop. I had no choice but to believe in the latter.
まったくとんでもない話でした。
Quite a story, was it not?
あなたのせいだったんでしょう。
It was your fault, wasn't it?
それはともかく。
Ignoring that, she played it off.
あの親子については
Forget that part.
あまり共感をなさらないが良いです。
You have no need to feel too bad for the parents and the boy.
休みずを読みとみなすのは不当な見下しですが、読み人と目を合わすなという長者の教えには一理あるのです。
Yasumisu unfairly looked down on Yomi, but the village teaching of do not look into the eyes of Yomibito has merit.
でなければ引きずられます。
Do that and I'll drag you in.
ああ、私の恩師も医者はあまり霊安室には行くもんじゃないとか言っていたな。
Yes, even my teacher told me that doctors shouldn't go to the morgues too often.
そういえばあなた様は死体が怖かったのでは。
Wait, were you not afraid of corpses?
さっきはそうでもなかったですね。結局は単なる場数不足と度胸不足だったのかもしれません。
That wasn't the case back there, huh? It's probably just a lack of experience and courage.
あの両親はなんであんな見た目になっていたんでしょうね。少年は人間と見分けがほとんどつかなかったのに。
Why had the parents become like that? I mean, the boy looked almost completely human.
自殺や心中をした方は成仏できないと聞いたことがあります。良くないものになりかけていたのかもしれません。
I heard that those who commit suicide cannot move on and always become something sinister.
あの子、ご両親を黄泉へと無事に連れて行ってくれることを願うばかりです。
I can only hope that the boy successfully brings his parents to Yomi.
そちらでうまくやってくれると良いですね。
Hope it goes well for them. Rakaka looked down and fell silent. Kinosuke couldn't really understand what she was expressing.
ところで、ここが良くない家だということは知らされないのが妙です。
By the way, it was strange that we were not told of this house's nature.
お家屋さんに掛け合って苦情をお伝えになってはいかがですか。お家賃がもっと安くなるかも。
Why not go complain to the sellers? They might make the rent even cheaper.
おお、なるほど。
Oh, good idea.
家政婦様にはお暇は出されましたか。
Have you told the housekeeper to not come?
ええ、移動中に電話でキャンセルの連絡をしましたよ。
Yes, I canceled the agreement while I was out.
わかりました。料理の本はお持ちですか。
Excellent. Do you have a cookbook? Confused by the constant changes in subject, Kyonosuke spoke.
病院食やらの本はあったはずですが、一体どうしたんです？
There was a book for hospital meals. What do you intend?
居候のみ宿代になるとも思えませんが、料理くらいはできるようになりたいと思います。
I'm a freeloader. I cannot imagine you would charge me for staying here, but I want to be able to make food at least. Huh?
掃除洗濯はこれでも得意です。あとは勉強でもして何か資格でも取ろうと思います。
I am already good at cleaning and laundry. I would learn that and earn a place here.
それであなた様のご恩には
I hope that
報
suffices
いた
as
いと思っております。
I hope that suffices as thanks to you.
そういうことで私をここに置いていただけますか、野里清之助様。
With that in mind, may I stay here, Kyonosuke Nosada-sama?
そりゃ私としては願ってもない。いや、その
Well, of course, but
本当にいいんですか？
are you sure?
勘違いはしないでください。
Please don't misunderstand. Rakako brought her face, long eyelashes and red eyes, closer to him, and Kyonosuke almost stopped breathing.
どうやら私は清之助様限定でひどく底意地の悪い人間になるようで、あなた様が大層嫌いなのかもしれません。
I seem to become a true bully to you, and only you, which probably means that I might dislike you a lot.
しかしあなた様は少しは尊敬に足るお方と見受けましたので、ご迷惑をかけぬよう
However,
私も努力をする次第。
However, I do see you deserve some level of respect, so I'd simply try not to be a nuisance to you.
決して心を許したわけではございませんゆえ、ご承知くださいませ。
This does not mean that I'm warming up to you. Keep that in mind. Rikako spoke a lot, and unusually quickly, too. At a loss of breath, she panted a bit, then looked away from him. After seeing that gesture, Kinosuke, who had feelings for her, instantly forgot his troubles with her, and just smiled.
分かっていますよ、リカコさん。
I understand, Rikako-san. Oh, there's hope. There's hope yet for them.
これからよろしくお願いします。
How lovely. I hope we get along.
せいぜいご注意なさいませ。あなた様への嫌がらせで食事に虫でも入れるかもしれません。
Be careful. I might toss a bug in your food just to bully you.
楽しみですよ、リカコさんの手料理。
I'm excited to try your cooking and the bugs. Noise. I'm not doing that. Kinosuke was blessed. Aware of that again, he looked up at the ceiling. He thought he might have seen a pink bug out of the corner of his eye, but it had to be his imagination. And...
ところでリカコさん、本を持って行ったのは本当にあの棚からだけですよね。
By the way, Rikako-san, you took books from only that one shelf, right?
もちろんです。何を疑うのですか？
Of course. What kind of question is that? She's lying. A relationship built on lies. Alright, there we go. That was Blockhead versus Final Boss. Oh, buddy. Okay. Again, two stories that didn't take too long to actually read through, so it's fine. They're a little interesting. I like seeing it. Like I said, I like seeing the post-game what's going on with these characters. We'll slowly be working our way through these. Next would be Rider versus Mystery Station. Or as a spoiler. Oh, it's just horror. It's not doubled up. Just horror. Our intrinsic journalist eventually finds a mystery she didn't ask for. Can the wise boy save her from the heretical land illuminated by the light of madness? Oh, that's got to be a story on... I think I probably said that before, but I was like... That's got to be that one lady. The journalist lady, whose name definitely doesn't escape me right now. Definitely doesn't escape me. Okay, let's, I'll do up a BRB, and then I'm gonna do a couple things during the BRB, get things kind of set up for Nier Automata, and then we'll do that for the rest of the night. And we'll have ourselves a grand old stream. You'll just have to give me a good handful of minutes while I set things up and take care of just a couple things in the meantime, in the between area. So, hold tight, I'll be back, Nier Automata. I'll be back shortly. What BRB screen do we want? We want this? Great. I'll be back.